This is Marlow FM 97.5.
And that was Angie by the Rolling Stones, one of Mark's choices. I'm sure there's a link there somewhere.
The topic in hand is networking. And we are going to have as our guest a little later Karen from Take One, and she is the queen of networking, of course.
I've heard that.
Absolutely.
I've heard that she's the queen of networking.
You've heard that before somewhere. So,
right, well, that was an interesting experience. We've just come off air, and I've been a guest speaker on Biz Buzz with Marlow FM this afternoon. And it's my turn to turn the tables now on my two interrogators over there, it's, Mark and Mike. So tell me, Mark, how did you get involved in Marlow FM?
I'm a Marlow resident and I was familiar with Marlow FM, knew about Biz Buzz, and I was invited as a guest on one of the Biz Buzz shows. So I went through the same process as you did, but when I was invited I was asked if I would bring someone else with me, and didn't hesitate to offer the opportunity to Mike, because we get on well and I know we can argue with each other without falling out, and that makes a good radio. So we went through the same interrogation that you did, limit to how often you can be a guest. So we inveigled ourselves into the organisation, sweet-talked people, didn't quite get as far as bribery, and here we are presenting the show once a fortnight.
So Mike, that looked fairly technical actually, what you were doing. I was very impressed, but do you have to be sort of fairly technical expertise-wise to run one of these shows?
I don't know about technical, Karen, but you've got to be able to think of several things at once, which is a bit tricky when you're trying to engage someone else in conversation and continue to listen to what they're saying. At the same time, you've got your eye on the clock ticking up to the news has got to come in. You've got to fade the right faders and the sliders. So it can get a bit hairy.
We had 2 lessons from somebody who's a regular broadcaster, and the first show that we did, that person was on the premises, and at the beginning of the show he was in here with us to make sure that if we just went then he could pitch in, but once we got going he went into the next door studio and did stuff that he needed to do, so he was there to help if needed.
And you've both got businesses in your own right, and you give up your time free to come down and run this show. What do you get out of it?
It's really more about the people that we bring into the studio. There's a business spin-off for them because it is about them and their business, which in its own way, what goes around comes around.
What's in it for me is it's great fun. It really is, and I might tire of it as time goes on, but it's great fun. Then if somebody says, I heard you on the radio and I'd like to talk to you some more about business, well, you know, I'll be happy to have a conversation with them.
But what about your guests? What do they get out of it?
Ostensibly, it's about them contributing to the topic that we've got that show, but what it's really about is them promoting their business. Something
that we're trying to achieve, which is something perhaps that's really practical for the community, and I'm sure there are programs which are practically orientated. So there's a program around charities, isn't there, which is going to be good for charities in the area. It's a community radio, so something that's of practical benefit to people, like we try and make our show of practical benefit to business people.
Okay, well, thank you very much, guys. That's been a great experience. I'd certainly love to come back again.
On 97.5 FM and online, this is Marlow FM 97.5.